What if the Black Death didn't kill 1 in 3 Europeans, but 9 in 10? The real Black Death killed roughly 1 in 3 Europeans. 50 million people. Gone. In 5 years. That is already the worst catastrophe in human history. But 90% means 75 million people, reduced to 7.5 million survivors. Spread across an entire continent. Almost no one left. Scattered. Rural. Mostly lucky. The survivors aren't stronger or smarter. They just happen to be isolated. Mountain villages, remote islands, people who never touched a flea. Paris, London, Florence. Gone. Not destroyed, just empty. Buildings standing. Bread still in the ovens. Nobody left to eat it. Europe becomes a continent of ghost cities. The Catholic Church loses 90% of its clergy. No priests means no sacraments. No last rites. No confession. The institution that held Europe together dissolves overnight. And here's the thing about feudalism. It needs serfs. Lots of them. With 90% gone, there are no serfs. There are no lords either. The entire system just stops. Farms revert to forest within a generation. Domesticated animals go feral. Wolves reclaim France. Bears move back into Germany. Europe rewilds itself completely. Nobody stops it. Scribes, scholars, doctors, engineers, most of them are dead. The manuscripts survive, but there's almost nobody left who can read Latin. Centuries of accumulated knowledge. Orphaned. The Renaissance was powered by surviving Italian cities. Florence, Venice, Rome. With 90% dead, those cities don't exist. No Michelangelo. No Da Vinci. No printing press. Meanwhile, the Islamic world loses far less. The Ottoman Empire is intact. North Africa is intact. They look west and see nothing. Just empty land and opportunity. In real history, Constantinople fell in 1453. Now there's barely anyone to defend it. The Ottomans don't stop at the Bosphorus. They keep walking. All the way to the Rhine. France, Germany, Italy, they don't exist as political entities. Just ruins and small survivor communities. There's nothing to push back against Ottoman expansion. Nothing at all. No Columbus, no Cortez, no Pizarro. The Americas exist in complete isolation for potentially forever. No smallpox, no conquistadors. 100% of indigenous civilizations survive. The Aztec Empire keeps expanding. The Inca build their roads. The Mississippi cultures develop cities. With no European contact, these civilizations have centuries more to grow, undisturbed. The Ming Dynasty never sends ships west. There's no wealth to find. No trade routes worth mapping. Europe is a graveyard. Asia pivots entirely toward the Pacific. Small, tight-knit, suspicious of outsiders. 7 million people across a continent develop into dozens of tiny, isolated cultures. They speak dialects so different, they can barely understand each other. Nation-states require population, armies, bureaucracy, none of which you can build with 7 million scattered survivors. Europe fragments into something closer to tribes than kingdoms. Every technological advancement requires a knowledge network. Blacksmiths learn from other blacksmiths, builders from other builders. With 90% dead, those networks are gone. Progress freezes. Wait. Actually, the survivors still have gunpowder. They just don't have the metallurgists to refine it, or the armies to deploy it, or the political systems to fund any of it. Never mind. Here's where it gets interesting. Human populations recover. Always. It takes time, a lot of it, but within a century, surviving communities start growing again. Slowly. Carefully. Every survivor carries some degree of plague resistance. Their children inherit it. Their grandchildren inherit it. Within 3 generations, European descendants are genuinely more plague-resistant than any other population on Earth. With the church gone and the old theology discredited, survivors build new belief systems from scratch. Some blend Christianity with folk magic. Some abandon God entirely. Some do something weirder. And here's the most fascinating development. Some survivors, call them the manuscript hunters, dedicate their lives to recovering books, not understanding them yet, just saving them for later. Libraries become sacred. Monasteries that survived become fortresses of stored knowledge. Communities form specifically around protecting texts they can't even read yet. This is civilization building from the roots up. 200 years after the catastrophe, around 1550, Europe's population is back to maybe 20 million. Small, but organized, and they've been reading those manuscripts. They understand them now. The ideas that emerge aren't the same as ours. There's no rediscovering Greece and Rome. Instead, the reference point is, how do we make sure this never happens again? That obsession changes everything. The obsession isn't art or philosophy. It's medicine, understanding disease, quarantine, hygiene. This version of Europe invests in microbiology 500 years before we did. It's not prettier. It's smarter. By the 17th century, these smaller, more cautious, disease-obsessed Europeans finally build ships again. They reach the Americas, but they arrive with something different. Actual germ theory. They know what they carry. Maybe. Or maybe power corrupts, regardless of what you know. The knowledge doesn't guarantee good behavior. But the epidemics that wiped out 90% of indigenous Americans possibly don't happen. Here's the counterintuitive part. The Black Death at 90% might produce a more careful civilization. One that understands fragility. One that was forced to value every single life. Because there were so few left. But let's not romanticize it. 67 million people are dead. Every cathedral, every university, every poem and painting that was never made. The loss is incalculable, irreversible, gone. Here lies the world we almost built. Killed not by war, not by folly, just by a flea. And from 7.5 million survivors. Everything else had to start over. If you enjoyed that, hit like and subscribe. New. What if history every week? And drop your question in the comments. It might be our next episode.